is attempting to record tonight. People who couldn't be here. We'll see how we go. But welcome to LITRW1. This is the first of 2 nights where we present some short seminars from doctors and industry experts from various areas about the issues that we're going to face from next year. So tonight is the first event organised by the graduation committee, with many more to come later in the year. And tonight's proudly supported by the AMSS, Perks, AMA SA, Margaret and SA Pathology. So first up tonight, we'll hear about an issue that has the potential to affect all of our hip pockets, but it's certainly poorly understood by many students and indeed doctors. So please join me in welcoming Ben Lavera and from Maxxia to speak about salary sacrifice.
Afternoon, everyone. Let's life in the real world. Let's just picture this. You start work, and someone comes up to you and says, "I'm going to give you a pay increase." Does that sound good? No. Yeah, of course it sounds great, doesn't it? Of course. Look, in the next 5-10 minutes, I'm going to show you exactly how that works, because, in all honesty, you can walk into your first role, your first job, and you'll get your contract in place, and someone will tell you that you have the potential to get a pay increase without doing anything different. My name's Ben, I'm a Customer Education Manager with Maxxia. I've got a few colleagues here. George's going to be my professional clicker today. And like I said, in the next 5-10 minutes, we're going to show you exactly how you can get this pay increase through what will be commonly referred to as salary packaging. Before I go into all those kind of details, I think it's really important to understand how salary packaging works for you. Then I'll take you through what kind of employee benefits that are available to you, and then also how you can get started. For those that entered and grabbed some pizza, you would have seen this little attendance register that we were getting people to sign, and also some show bags, which had some nice goodies there as well for you, and some information as to what I'm going to talk about. For those that haven't filled out this attendance register, it's pretty important if you do want to get this pay increase. Okay, so if you haven't filled it out, we'll get Jay to start distributing these attendance registers. So just pop your name and contact details. We'll keep in touch with you as you progress through for your new role. So salary packaging and how Maxxia works. First important thing that you need to understand with salary packaging, it's a federal tax law. And while it's readily available under the Australian tax legislation, it's up to your employer to offer it. So employees like the Government of South Australia, which you may be considering working for, they are offering all of their employees the ability to salary package. How Maxxia sits into the equation is that we simply administer your employer's salary packaging benefits program. Okay? So it's really important to understand salary packaging is not a product, it's not something that Maxxia offers or anything, it's just a federal tax law that is available for every employee. And unfortunately, the Government of South Australia is offering that to you as a potential employee. Okay? So Maxxia's been working with the Government of South Australia now for about 12 years. As of June last year, we were chosen to be the sole provider for the government, so we look after all government employees with regards to getting them set up and educating them on salary packaging. We're based in Pirie Street. We also have our head office in Melbourne, and you also find us wherever you're probably working. So if it's in health, you find that a lot of the hospitals will be there on site, usually once a week. So enough about that. Let's talk about how salary packaging works. For those that have had jobs in the past, if you've had jobs in the past, you would know that you get paid a gross income. Okay. Unfortunately, you're not allowed to keep your gross income because the Australian Tax Office takes part of your salary. It's often referred to as tax, and the Australian Tax Office will grab their share. What's left over is your net income, and that's then for you to go out and spend on everyday items, or save. Hopefully you'll be able to save some money and maybe pay off some of your loans. Now when you do choose to salary package, one of the most common reasons why you would want to choose to salary package is to reduce your tax. So the federal tax laws tell us that you still get paid your gross income, so that won't change, you'll get paid your gross income. But before you go and get taxed, you'll be able to purchase certain items. So here's a quick example. If you got paid $2,000 and say your personal loan, your car loan, maybe your living expenses, groceries, those sort of things, that came to about $500. Instead of getting taxed on $2,000, you'd be paying tax on $1,500. And that there is exactly how you get your pay increase. Because at the end of the day, you have to spend on these everyday items, but instead of using your net income to do so, you're able to spend using your gross income. Does that make sense so far for everyone? I didn't lose anyone at hello? No? Good? Okay, we're on the same wavelength. Great. So let's talk about what you can package or what your employer is enabling you to do. Under those federal tax laws, they're saying to you, as a health employee, you're eligible to receive $9,095 off your income, tax-free. So whatever your gross income, whatever you receive in your, as your annual wage, you're able to receive $9,095 off that income, tax-free, and you can spend on certain items. So in your case, that may be things like a regular expense that you may have, could be rent, maybe personal loans, could be car loans, okay, could also be insurance. Now if you take that simply, you take that $9,095 and just divide by 26 because there's 26 pays in a fortnight and that's most likely what you're going to be paid. It works out to be about $350. So if you look at your gross income, simply minus $350 because you're not going to be taxed on that, and then you'll be able to receive that $350 tax-free to pay for any of those items. Now if you don't have any regular expenses, you won't miss out because you'll be able to take advantage of the salary packaging payment card. And it's as simple as thinking of it as a savings account. So instead of the $350 going towards, say, your rent or your personal loan or any of those items, it'll go into the card for you to then go and spend on everyday items. So think about groceries, think about maybe utility bills that you may have, or something more fun like entertainment, holidays, all those sort of things. But you're able to now spend on those items using your gross income. Okay. Does that make sense so far? Yep. So remember how I said about pay increase? You know, you walk into your role, the first job that you're getting out there after uni, and they're saying to you that you're able to get a pay increase. So we don't know what your incomes are going to be at the moment, and you probably don't know what it's going to be at the moment or when you do start. So I'm just going to use an example of $50,000 as an income. When you do start, we'll assist you and show you how or what potential savings that you will be able to make. So on, say, a $50,000 income, your net benefit or the extra money you'll have in your pocket every single year is about $3,000. So there's your pay increase, $3,000. What could you do with it? Well, I'm sure you've got lots of ideas or ways that you could spend that $3,000. But if you look at it in a short-term period, so every pay, you're going to be better off by about $115. Okay, so there's your pay increase. And you haven't done anything different. You still got to pay your rent, or you still got to pay your personal loan, your car loan. You still got to pay for your groceries. But like I said, you're using the federal tax laws to now start paying for these and get your pay increase. Okay. So how do you get started? We talked about that attendance register. So just hands up quickly. Who hasn't filled it out? Cool. So Jade, if you want to just get those attendance registers out to those that haven't filled out, that's the best way that we can communicate to you. So what we'll do is we'll shoot out a communication around about December and then follow up again about January when placements are taking place. We'll then let you know how it's going to work, how it's going to be structured and what you can do. Now, it's available for full-time employees, part-time employees, casual employees, even contracts. Okay, so if you're only on a short-term contract, you can still take advantage of these federal tax laws. The other thing that you need to know is if you've got a HEX debt, that won't affect you from salary packaging, but you do need to know some certain ways of managing that, okay? Because the salary packaging may affect the way that you pay your HEX debt. So that's really important to understand. It doesn't mean that you miss out, it's just a different way that we have to calculate it, and we'll show you how that works as well. So we'll touch base with you, like I said, at the end of the year and also in the new year. We'll do that through those attendance registers. Does anyone have any questions so far?
Just wondering about you're saying the sort of things you can spend, like you can pay for using the card. Is there anything that you can't pay for using that card?
Yeah, George, guns and ammunition, I think, is something that we wouldn't encourage you to spending that money on. But no, look, in all seriousness, you can spend the money on anything. Australia Post is a bit unique in the way that you can't use the card there. But you can use that card anywhere that Visa's displayed, so food, clothing, entertainment. In fact, you may also see if you wanted to make extra payments towards your head, you can use that Visa debit card to pay for it.
Yeah.
It's not a Visa credit card, so you don't have any interest-free periods and all those sort of things. It's just simply a savings account that uses the Visa network.
Yeah.
Does
And
that
you
answer
buy
your-
like online. Is it online?
It's very limited because it's dependent on the merchant, and I'm not going to go into too much details on that one, but
Yeah.
it's very limited. So I'm not quite sure in your bags, but certainly there was a frequently asked questions brochure that we had there. I don't know, Jade, if you've got that floating around, but there is a brochure that just talks about the card and where you can and where you can't use that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just with, you know how you said it's about $350 pay, can you do more at the start of the year and less at the end? For example, for people who've got really large student loans,
Yeah.
want to pay it off quickly?
I don't know if you heard that at the back, but the question was, you're eligible to receive $350. At the beginning, the question here was whether you can take more than the $350. The answer, or the simple answer to that question is that the fringe benefit tax year allows you to receive $9,095. How you receive that is totally up to you. We just simply divide it by 26 because we spread out the payments over that fringe benefit tax year. Okay, so we just spread it out over that period of time, but it's totally up to you as to how you receive that. Does that answer the question? Yeah.
The fringe benefit tax year is between 1st April and 31st of March, but if we start work in January, then how does the cycle lie?
Yeah, so there again, depending on your incomes and those sort of things, so we need to understand what your wage is going to be on a fortnightly basis. We're going to try and hopefully get you as much of that $9,095 in a short period of time. Okay, totally up to you how it works, and we'll talk to you about that. We can't advise you as to what you do, because unfortunately your employer or your prospective employer or Maxxia, we can't provide any financial advice. But we'll give you the factual information and show you how it works, and then it's totally up to you if you want to squeeze it in until the end of that fringe benefit tax year, or if you want to take a smaller amount. It's totally up to you. Yeah. I think there was one up the back there as well. Is there a question? Yeah.
Just two quick questions. One was just about, like, say, direct debit on those cards, like membership or whatever. Does that work?
You can't do, so there we go, I think you guys hear that? Yeah, about gym membership, yeah. So direct debits, you can't set up a direct debit on these cards. And it's not something that Maxxia puts restrictions on. These are all federal tax laws, so that they do stipulate what you can and what you can't use that money for. So with things like direct debits, unfortunately, it can't be used on that card.
Yeah. And I think we all start work on the 8th of January, or when do we need to start talking to you?
ASAP, yeah. So we'll get in touch with you. If you know when your contracts are coming out and those sort of things, don't wait for us to contact you. We will try and get in contact with you, but if you get your contract and you know when you're going to start and those sort of things, get in touch with us, okay? So you've got the contact.
So you need our contract before you can do anything?
Correct, yeah. So you need contract, just simply because we need to know what your pay is going to be. Yep.
So once we know that, we sacrifice our first paycheck to you guys. Like, if we wanted to try and get to that $9,000 cap before the end of the benefit tax year.
Yeah, so what we'll do is we'll work with your employer and payroll to determine when the first pay that you can salary package. Now, in some situations, you'll find that it's not going to be the first pay. It usually will be the second pay that we're able to salary package, and it's because you need a payroll number. Now, that sometimes may be given to you in advance, but there's always a lag period between computer systems and those sort of things. So you'll probably find it won't be your first one, it will more than likely be your next one. But we'll work with you on that one. So as soon as you get your contract, your pay slip and those sort of things, yeah, like I said, get in touch with us and we'll assist you to get it done ASAP.
What happens to the money that you don't spend on that $9,000? You say it might be on a card by the time you reach the new year?
Yep.
Kind of all over, or do you lose that money when you get taxed on it?
Yeah, so the question there was if you receive that $9,095 and it goes onto the card and you don't spend it before the end of March, is that about right? Yep. Okay, so what happens is if you've got money sitting on that card, it just reduces what you're eligible for in the next fringe benefit tax year. Okay, so someone mentioned before, the fringe benefit tax year runs from the 1st of April through the end of March, 31st of March. So if you don't spend that money on that card, you don't lose it because it's still your money. It's tax-free money that's sitting on that card. But what will happen, it will just reduce what you're eligible for in the next FBT. So as an example, 9095, you know you're going to receive that tax-free every fringe benefit tax year. If you don't spend, say, $1,000 on the card, you're left with $8,095 in the following fringe benefit tax year. Does that make sense? Cool.
Does the $9,095 go in after your first paycheck, like as that total sum, or is it broken down into?
It's always going to be dependent on your fortnightly gross income. So as an example, if your gross income was $2,000, the maximum amount you could receive tax-free would be $2,000. And then we just keep working our way through until the end of that fringe benefit tax year. So that's why everyone's going to be different. Everyone's going to have different incomes and those sort of things. So once we understand what you're receiving as a fortnightly wage, we'll be able to calculate how many payrolls or pays are left in that fringe benefit tax year, and just simply take 9095, divide by that figure, and that'll tell us how much you're able to receive. But we can't, obviously you can't go higher than what your gross income is on a fortnightly basis. Yeah.
How does it work? Does our pay rate changes over the course of the year? So
Yeah.
each rotation, you'll often get paid quite a significant difference. If
Yeah.
you're on nights, you get huge penalties. And if you're on just working 8 to 5, you get just your base wage. So how does that work if you calculate it over the whole, like we don't have an average, it fluctuates?
Yeah, look, so just understand that question. So if you've got overtime penalties and all those sort of things, how does that sort of work in that sort of situation? Yeah. So really, where we were talking about that accelerated period, we're going to try and get as much as you possibly can. Normally, so let's put aside that first period of time. So normally, so we're talking about 1st of April through the end of March. Just divide 9095 divided by 26. It's $350 per fortnight. So that's all we can do, $350 per fortnight. So if you get your wage fluctuates, it goes up and down. As long as you're receiving more than $350 in that fortnight, nothing will change. So your wage in one fortnight might be $2,000, it might be $3,000, maybe $10,000. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? It can fluctuate, but as long as it's more than $350 per fortnight, it'll be fine. You don't need to make any changes or anything like that. Is there one down here? That answer your question? Yeah.
But in the first, in the accelerated period of time, how does that work?
Yeah, so there's a couple of ways we can do it. We can do it as a set dollar figure, or we can do it as a percentage of what your wage is going to be. And that's why I was saying your gross income is going to really dictate how much you can salary package per fortnight. If you do have those penalties and overtime and those sort of things, we can do it as a percentage of what your wage is. Yeah.
So Ben, do you find that most interns able to make the most of that 9095 given the way they have it, so it's half a financial year?
Yeah. So if you didn't hear back there what that question was, do most people take advantage of the 9095 as interns? The answer is yeah. I mean, if you want to try and get an extra $3,000 in a short period of time, it's the best way of doing it. Okay. So look, not everyone will be able to do it because at the end of the day, you've either got to spend that money somehow, okay, or it's got to be allocated to something like your rent or other regular expenses. So if you don't have something to spend that money on, there's no point in getting that 9095 tax-free because you've got to use it for something.
If you were putting your money towards a regular expense like a loan, for example, and then at the end of the first fringe benefits tax period, you had $1,000 left on the card for whatever reason, could you then allocate all that money towards a loan even though it's not sort of a regular expense at that point?
No. So the question there was if you had $1,000 sitting on the card, what can you do with the money? What happens is if you need that money, it needs to be returned back to payroll, get taxed, and then come back into your bank account to do something with it. Unfortunately, your employer won't allow us to transfer it around to other benefits, which might potentially be, say, a loan.
So let's say I'm $9,000 roughly, because making me in debt when I graduate this year.
Yep.
Can I just say, for my first part of the period, I want all my $9,000 chucked into that loan that I have to pay back, and by whenever end of March when it's expired, it will be paid, assuming that I earn at least $9,000 over that period.
Correct, spot on. Yep. And that's quite common. That's what a lot of people do. They've got debts And it's a great way of paying out those debts really quickly. So the most important thing that you said there was as long as you've got the money in that fortnightly amount. Also, you've got to remember that if you're allocating all that money towards your debts and those sort of things, you've still got to work out, do you have money to live off? Okay, so there's that balance as well.
Can you send it to X
Through the Visa debit card, you can, but it's not your sole payment. So you know how with HEX they've got the sliding scale. So I believe the new tax scales is that it's about 51,000. If you're earning more than 51,000, you have to pay HEX. If you're under 51,000, you don't need to. But the Australian Tax Office does allow you to make extra repayments, and the way that you can do it is using that Visa debit card to make extra repayments. Okay. Good for time. Yep. Yep.
Sorry, one more question. So if I use the card to buy, so say a stethoscope, which is tax returnable, can I still get that benefit from tax return? Or because it's from a Maxxia card that I can't do it?
Yeah, okay. That falls into a different category altogether, okay? So anything work-related, so any work-related expenses, you have the ability to buy those but not use your $9,095 tax benefit. So it's actually in addition, so it has to, but the ruling on that has to be work-related, and you need your direct line manager to approve it. So if it is something that you need a stethoscope, you need to purchase it, instead of using your net income to buy it, you can buy it using your gross income, but you don't need to use your 9095 for it. Having said all of that, when it comes time to do your tax return, you can't claim for it then as well. Okay, so you can't do the salary packaging and also claim it in tax time. The Australian Tax Office won't be very impressed. Yeah. George just raised a good point actually about the card. So if you've got money sitting on your card and you spent everything that you needed to, and you're sort of thinking, well, how else can I use this money? Short of going on a shopping spree and trying to blow all the money that way. I'm sure you have a lot of fun, but like I said, it's still your money, so treat it wisely. You could go out and get gift cards. Okay, so if you shop regularly at, say, Coles or Woolies, or you're shopping at Westfield, Myers, wherever it might be, you can go out and get gift cards. So effectively what you're doing is you're transferring your tax-free money onto a gift card, which you can then spend at a later date. So it's almost like giving yourself an extension to be able to spend that money. Another way that you can look at it is if you're going on a holiday, so you're planning a trip or something like that, maybe go out and get travel vouchers, anything that you can use that Visa debit card to purchase, anything like those, like I said, flights, accommodation, all those sort of things.
So the first time we can start using the Maxxia card is 5 to 10 days after our first pay.
Yeah, what you'll find is when you get set up, you'll have the card pretty much ready for you to go straight away. So when your first pay comes, you'll get a text message on your mobile phone that'll tell you how much money's been transferred to the card, and then it'll also give you a running balance as well. There are other ways that you can check your account balance, whether that's through the internet or telephone banking, but having that text message going through will give you that update in real time. But to come back to your original question, yeah, you'll get your card within about 7 to 10 business days of your application being pretty much like approved, and that approval just comes from your employer, which we take care of. So as soon as your employer says, yep, you are working for wherever you're working, we can then get that card ordered, and you'll find that it will take place usually 7 to 10 business days afterwards. The reason why there's that sense of urgency as well is to give you as many pay weeks as possible to get that 9095. Okay, so it's great that you're all here and getting this education now, because as soon as you get your contract and as soon as you know what your income's going to be, you can get in touch with us and start the paperwork process then. It usually takes about 1 to 2 pay cycles for it to then become effective. So even though you might be receiving income, it may take a little bit longer, but that's a worst case scenario. So we'll work really closely with you, and we'll do a lot of background work with your employer to also get this process sped through the system.
Sorry, so just to clarify, so once you've got the salary package set up and you've earning income, does that mean that the first $9,095 that you earn the year will go onto that card rather than
question there was about $9,095. Where does that money go? Is that what you sort of
Yeah.
asking? Yeah. So let's just say that you allocate your $9,095 to a personal loan or to your rent that you're paying. Just treat it like you're getting your whatever money that you're wanting to put aside tax-free. Okay, we put that over to Maxxia, so we administer the program, and we then ask you, where do you want us to put this money? So in most cases, for rent or for personal loans and those sort of things, you'll have a direct debit system set up. So we just simply put that money back into the account that you have your direct debit system set up. For the Visa debit card, it's as simple as just putting the money directly into that card for you to then go and spend. Did that answer your question?
I guess I'm asking, does the money first go into your bank account and then you transfer it
To what
to
debit?
Maxxia?
Oh, okay,
Or
no.
does it go straight
Yep.
in there, and so for a while, once you've got it set up, you won't actually have any income going into your
Into your
bank
own bank
account
account.
as such, or will be going
Yep. Did everyone hear that
onto
question?
card?
So, you know, what the time delay is basically, how does it all track?
Yeah.
Payroll, so your payroll will send the money to Maxxia first, then what's left over gets taxed and then goes into your bank account. The tax-free money then goes into either your bank account to pay for things like rent or personal loans, or it goes into the card. So it's usually about a 24 to 48 hour delay depending on your payroll. So everyone you'll find in the government system will be set up with a different payroll, and there will be a time difference as to when that gets paid to you.
Sorry, just to clarify, so you're going to use the money for rent and loans, that goes into your account and then gets directed by a loan.
Yeah.
So you guys set that directly up, or
No, you just have you set up your own direct debit system from your own bank account. So you have one coming in from your employer, and then a credit coming in from your employer, which is your pay, and then you'll have your tax-free money coming in from Maxxia. Usually, like I said, about a day or two afterwards. Can we wrap up there?
Yeah, let's stop there.
Okay, so thanks for the question, guys. One thing that I will tell you, and I'll have this like small little writing put up here, it's not to confuse you or anything like that. You can download it at any stage of our website, but the most important thing that it says up there is that unfortunately your employer or Maxxia, we can't provide any financial advice. So if you're not quite sure if salary packaging is right or not right for you, get the factual information from us and then sit down with your advisor and make a decision from there, or make an informed decision. So thanks, guys. Good luck in the real world.
Thanks, Ben. I'm just going to stop talking about appreciation. Okay, that's a lot of discussion, guys. Great questions. Keep it up. I'm going to show you what's quick schedule tonight's proceedings. So we just had Ben speaking from Maxxia, and next is Dr. Andrew Shepherd, who is the current representative of the Doctors in Training Council of the AMA USA. So Dr. Shepherd's a recent graduate of the university and so please join me in welcoming Dr. Andrew Shepherd.
Hi everybody, I'm Andrew. I was a graduate, I was sitting in your position just over 2 years ago now. It seems like the last 2 years have gone very quickly. Now my role is as the chair of the AMA Doctors in Training Committee. So we tend to represent all the interests of junior doctors, interns, medical students who are coming through the system in South Australia. And I've been asked to come along today to talk to you a little bit about the work that the AMA can do for you. I've got a couple of other people here from the AMA tonight as well. We've got Tracy and Lucy, who do lots of work with Doctors in Training. We've also got one of our illustrious members, Dr. Roger Sexton, here as well in the audience. It's terrific. Thank you. I've got a few slides tonight just to run through, just to quickly. I think lots of you are quite familiar